dairy. And then, you know, a month goes by and they lost 4 or 5 pounds, they wanted to lose 10, and they still don't feel great. And they say, oh, paleo diet's no good, it doesn't work for me. Well, you didn't really do it, you know. And so we have to determine, like, where on the spectrum are you? You know, do you have health issues? Do you have weight issues? You know, what are your goals? And if you have health issues and weight issues and you really want to take it to the next level, there's really no gray area in this. Like, you have to eliminate grains, dairy, and legumes, and you have to do it solid for 30 days. Like, even if you have a little bit, this is not going to work. So.
What about quantity? You can eat as much meat as you want, or there is a limit of also grains, numbers, nuts.
Yeah. In the first month that people are doing this, I tell them, you know, we've been so programmed to count calories and worry about calories. That's like the worst thing in the world. It doesn't work. I mean, at the very basic level, calories are one thing to measure. So if we're not measuring anything in our day-to-day life and our diet, then calories are a good thing to start to measure. And so if people go on a caloric restriction diet, they're probably going to get some results. But it's not going to change their health long-term, and it's not going to be a lifestyle they can live forever. It's going to be a short-term thing. And for most of my clients, it doesn't really work. I mean, they get some results, but not all the results they deserve for the work they're putting in. And so I tell people for the first 30 days, we are on, how long is the Paleo Challenge? 7 weeks, okay. So I tell people for the first 30 days, you know, at a minimum 2 or 3 weeks, but I think 30 days, do not worry about quantity, worry about quality, okay? So worry about eating the right foods. And you can eat them to satiety, eat till you're full, eat so you're not hungry. If you're craving something, generally if you're craving something, you need more meat or you need more fat, okay? So just don't worry. I mean, obviously you know, like if you're having 3 steaks and a bag of nuts, that's too much. But don't worry about you know, really counting or weighing and measuring at this point. Like, I really, really want people to just get in a habit of eating the right foods and food quality. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at the results you get just from food quality. And then, you know, after 3 or 4 weeks, then we can look at, okay, where are we at here? You know, are we not eating? And generally, especially with women, I see not enough protein, not enough fat. And if you up your protein and fat, you're going to eliminate those carbohydrate and sugar cravings, and then you're going to change your body the way you want it to be. So, yeah.
Question: where are those seasonings and sauces and things?
Sure. Almost any seasonings are okay that are like, you know, your basil, your cumin, your paprika, you know. If you go to the store and see all those real seasonings, and they're real, any of those are fine. They're all fine. Salt is technically not part of paleo, but if I would say sea salt in moderation. Okay, so there's a big thing here. Everybody's like, oh, salt is so bad. Well, sodium chloride, which is table salt, is bad for you. It's white, and sea salt should be like a pinkish color. Okay, so if you have sea salt that you buy at the store and it's solid white, it's not real sea salt. So sea salt has all the other minerals in it. It's taken, you know, from the sea. It's a natural thing. Whereas table salt is where they take sea salt and they strip the other minerals, and all you have is sodium chloride left. And that's not good because you have way too much of it without the other minerals, and so it causes problems in the body. So sea salt in moderation. Your herbs and spices, all of them are fine. But you have to be careful when you get a spice that's like has a name that from the store, and there's like 10 or 12 things in it. You just have to look for things like big words that you can't pronounce. If you can't pronounce it or you don't know what it means, you shouldn't eat it. And then at the same time, you have to look for like starches and sugars or, you know, fillers that are in those, because a lot of them have that. But if you stick to like there's one that's very good. It's a little high in sea salt maybe, but it's a pretty good step in the right direction for most people. It's called double A or Borsari. It's Borsari, and they have it at Whole Foods. There's 3 colors. There's red, white, and black, and it's kind of like an all-purpose seasoning. And it's used for, you can use it for, you know, meat, fish, chicken, anything.
Do people ever use like marinades or Greek salads or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, pretty much your salad dressings are going to be olive oil based. You know, oil, vinegar, and oil type stuff. You know, you can look at like adding some seasonings to them, lemon, you know, lemon juice, things like that. I'm not the most creative when it comes to salad dressings. I just live with olive oil, unless I throw some olive oil on.
Good recipes online?
Yeah, there are good recipes online, and I can. I'm trying to think. I can. Yeah, some of those are okay, but you have to be careful because a lot of those are like man-made oils that aren't real. They're not natural, and they don't come from nature. And so, like, one of the biggest issues, you know, was our government and like the FDA that was, you know, vegetable oil, margarine, and all these things, which we now know are just like terrible. And so we have to be careful with things that are not real oils, that don't come from nature. So, for example, like people are like, what about grapeseed oil? It's like, well, here's the problem with grapeseed oil is that technically it could be okay, but you don't know the quality of the grapes and where they came from. Grapes are one of the most oversprayed fruits for pesticides and, you know, all the chemicals. And so if you're taking it from those grapes and then heating up those things to create a worse chemical reaction, and then you're using the oil that you're putting in your body. So that's, you know, there's a lot of back and forth on oils and what's acceptable, what's not. In general, I would just tell people to really try to stick towards olive oil, vinegar type based things, you know. But if you have a dressing that you love, that you make, and it's from pretty high end ingredients, you know, it's probably okay. Watch out for sugar.
I'm using coconut oil.
Coconut oil is the best. Yeah, coconut oil is great. You don't use it for salad, though, right? You just use it for cooking, yeah.
Just like if I want to make something and I need to fry a little bit of, let's say, onion, so
Yeah.
I use the coconut oil to fry the onion.
Yep.
Yes.
Coconut oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coconut oil. Coconut oil is awesome. And if you're going to look at coconut oil, it's going to say all this saturated fat, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't have that. But it's MCT fat. It's a medium chain triglyceride fat, and it's I promise you, it's good for you. It actually encourages your body. Your liver can actually use that for energy. It encourages your body to burn fat. So it's a very good thing. It actually is good for gut healing, which we all could use. So. Yes.
Alright, so I'm sold on everything, and there's one dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I had to take my dark chocolate last night, put it in the trash can, and Windex it because I couldn't. I can't break that.
So,
Tell me about what dark chocolate does, so I'll not want it.
well, here's the thing. Because some of the guys I follow, like a lot of the guys I follow that research and you know, that I look to for advice, they will say that like some dark chocolate in moderation is okay. But well, how do they measure? They measure it by, I'm not a chocolate person, but there's like a measure. Well, not by ounce, but like by ounce.
The amount of chocolate, like the real chocolate.
Oh yeah,
like 70% and higher is like kosher too.
Yeah. So the higher the whatever that value is of like purity of real chocolate, the higher the better.
Right.
And generally, like you can't eat enough of it to really, you know, go nuts on it. I mean, some people can, but the more pure high end, it has a taste that I think you can't really, you know, you can't eat like tons of it.
Yeah.
So it's not paleo. I would say no. You know, in general, but as far as the dessert goes, as far as a cheat, it's a pretty good option. It's better than most. So I wouldn't get overly concerned about it. The thing that you need to know that we haven't really touched on today, I think we touched on it last time, is that sugar is the problem. Sugar is the enemy in all of this. Okay, so and it's even things like fruit juices that we you know are healthy in general. Sugar is a problem. Okay, so everything we're trying to do here is we're trying to heal our gut.